Welcome back to the show with today's guest, Julie Borgout from Borgout and Craig Architects. Just before the ad break, we spoke about the brief, which is your ideas put down on paper and given to an architect like Julie. And just before we went to the ad break, we spoke about something even as important, which is the budget, which enables you to pay for your ideas when it comes time to build. So Julie, I know I've had a couple of meetings with clients in the past, and they give me a quick sketch, something similar to what we shown in the last segment, and they said, "Well, how much will all this cost? Can you give us a bit of an idea?" And just by looking at it, you can't tell because obviously it's not designed. But I usually give clients that I speak to initially an initial estimate of around $2,000 a square metre as a budget. Is that pretty much in the ballpark from your experience?
It is, it depends on if it's a contemporary house and the height of the ceilings as well.
Yeah, as I said, it's a budget. Yeah, it ballparks to have in the dark because if you multiply 2,000 by, let's say, an area of like 100. You get 200,000, and that's sort of like you. And if the client's only got 50,000, well, they go, well, we know we're not, we're not in the ballpark. Yeah, correct. And but generally, how do clients derive their budgets? Like they must.
Okay, often there's a discussion with the bank, or they've been looking around, got their feelers out on renovations that have been going on in the street or the neighbourhood. And I think we've mentioned it before that if you know what you bought your house for, you know what the neighbour's house is going for now it's renovated, you've got a fair idea of where you are in what you can sell your house for after renovation. Yep. That gives you an idea of what you've got to play with.
And banks generally work on that loose theory as well, do they? Yep.
Definitely. Yep. They look at the area you're in and the cost of houses. And
how much you bought the house for previously. Yep. Okay, cool.
Obviously your income is involved in that as well.
True. Yeah. But it's just that we're talking loose and getting to like a ballpark.
It's a great starting point so that you're not completely outrageous with spending a fortune on something that will never accrue that value.
Okay, so let's say you bought a house for, say, $300,000. A renovated house in the area or down the street goes for $500 to $600. So you're looking at around $200 to $300 as a budget. But that budget, that $200 to $300, is not all construction.
No, you've got consultants, you've got building fees, you've got other fees such as contingency. Yep. So, say an old house, you'll have things like that unknown risk of pulling a sheet off and seeing termites. Or
we have on the screen we have like an example of what can make up a $200,000 budget, and that includes $20,000 for consultants, $2,000
architects and engineers, landscape, hydraulic.
And also geotech. Yep. And we've got $2,000 for QLEAV and BSA insurance, because generally they need to be paid before you can actually engage a builder. Yeah, and they're generally, from my experience, left out. Like people go, "Oh, what's this?" And that gives $155,000 for like a construction budget, and that's based on around 80 square metres using my loose $2,000 a square
and that's a really good guide.
Yep. Mm-hmm. And then also on top of that, we've put in $23,000 for contingency.
Good.
Because it's always the way you go through, and like you might think it's going to come in, but then you get the odd issue that might rock up during the construction, like if you pull a wall off and then you see it's termite damage. Is that?
Or even dry rot, where you have to replace the timber. We've had a few instances where internal timber's been used on a deck externally and they have to pull it all off. So.
And not only that, the emotional factor too comes out of that contingency.
So there's also rent of a house if they have to move out while it's being renovated.
To start getting the brief and the budget, you'll do some concept plans?
Definitely.
Yep.
We do lots of options, trying to capture all of their needs.
Yep.
And just trying to tweak it so you get the right fit for the person.
Yeah, and it's also a good time, once you've developed a couple of concept sketches, to actually get them costed by like a builder or a quantity surveyor. Is that correct?
Definitely. Yep. Just so that as you go through, like sometimes clients get carried away and they think, now's the time to do a pool.
Yep.
Putting a pool in on top of all of that can blow a budget right out. So it's really good to stagger and get budgets continually as you're tweaking the design.
So, and Bill, I know myself, I'm constantly asked, can you give us a bit of a budget based on this cost plan? So builders do, they're not reluctant not to do it, but they probably prefer to do it. And also, that, might give them a bit of leeway when it comes when that tender time to be, thought of in the negotiation process. Is that correct? That's fair to say, yeah.
Definitely. The builder has to have some idea of the finishes and the quality of finish, don't they? So budget is really critical.
And you can also ask the builder, is there any way, get another opinion?
Yeah, definitely.
If you need to cut out something where you can save a few costs.
Well, the difference between marble and a laminate bench can actually save a budget for someone or blow a budget out. So
it's just having a few more eyes on the
all the way through.
All the way through. Another issue is where people might be inclined to cut consultants' costs by not hiring an architect and just getting a draftsperson for a third of the cost, but that can be fraught with danger too in terms of the quality of the...
Definitely. It's often better to get a professional in right at the start. Architects are like doctors. We've done extensive study for years. We've had to do practical experience before we can register. So we've got a wealth of knowledge of how to save, be energy efficient, how to make your quality of life better through a renovation.
Yeah, because it's in terms of the fees between an architect and a draftsperson, it's not huge amounts. There is a fair bit of a difference, but in terms of extra bit of concrete or extra bit of wall, or just managing the efficiency of the size of rooms,
you're much better going to a professional.
True, and I have to agree on that as well. Now, what we need to do now is remind the people at home is that this process can take a bit of time, concept sketches and massaging budgets, just so the client gets the right design and also meeting the right budget. So this process can take probably even up to 6 months just to get right, and at this stage they're probably worth doing that, wasting the time on it. Because
definitely, because 6 months is nothing when you're going to be in a house for a considerable amount of time, and the flexibility that you can get from a professional coming in and helping with that renovation makes it worthwhile. And also
massaging the plans now is easier than when time comes at building stage.
You don't want to be ripping down a wall because it's in the wrong spot. So definitely taking the care at the start and doing the planning at the start saves you time and money. Definitely.
Okay. Now that kind of wraps up today's show. This is the dream stage. This is where the ideas get put down on paper. And next week's show, we're going to be talking about the actual development approvals, the building approvals associated with actually making sure what you get down on paper is actually legally to build. So, Julie, thank you.
Thanks very much for having me.
And next time, dream it, plan it, build it.